Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary. Before we jump in, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This really helps us grow and get the message out. And take a look at our other videos at youtube.com/@KennethJHenry. Remember this moment from the Trump-Harris debate? David Muir fact-checked President Trump on crime statistics, and the president fired back.
Crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
Excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like...
Well, it turns out President Trump was correct. Not only did David Muir ruin any semblance of reputation he had, it appears the FBI tried to help the Democrats, but when Trump called them out, they quietly revised the crime statistics. This is just another example of weaponization of the government against Trump. It was just as Trump argued when he accused the FBI of leaving out the major cities where crime was the worst. The updated crime statistics showed that rather than violent crime going down over 2%, it in fact rose 4.2%, which is a 6% difference from what the FBI had previously reported and the Democrats touted. Listen to this report that aired on Fox News. Now, this guy is not a ball of fire, but what he has to say is spot on. After you look at this commentary, please share your thoughts in the comments.
Every year I download the data from the FBI when they put it out. And so I had the file from the previous year, and I had the file that they just put out in September. And it was pretty easy to see that things had changed, for 2022 and 2021 in particular. They had some changes for a few of the previous years, but they were very small. The changes for 2021 and 2022 were very large. I looked through the press release that the FBI put out. There was no mention of them having changed the data for earlier years, and surely no mention of the large change that had occurred. I looked through the Uniform Crime Report summary report that the FBI puts out, and there was no mention of the size of the change. There's one footnote there that vaguely mentions that they had updated the data for 2022. No mention about updating it for 2021 or any other time. And no mention of the change, how large of a change it was. It was just this one vague footnote there. So it's pretty shocking to me. Just to give people an idea of the size of the change. When the 2022 data came out in September 2023, they initially reported that violent crime had fallen by 2.1% in 2022. The new data, and that's the final data supposedly for 2022. The revision of that final data that came out last month now claims that rather than the 2.1% drop, that there was actually a 4.5% increase in violent crime that occurred in 2022. That's a 6.6 percentage point change there. That's from a drop to an increase. And, the bizarre thing to me is for a year after the 2022 data was put out, we were having headlines in news articles after news articles saying violent crime is falling. People mistakenly or erroneously believe that it's increasing. And, and they were relying on this data, but you don't see any corrections in the news saying, oops, the FBI data that we relied on was wrong, that rather than a drop, there was actually an increase that had occurred. I think the headlines in the newspapers and articles has been violent crime's falling. People are wrong to think that it's increasing. And I think the people are right. And, you know, it's not just violent crime. I mean, people go in many cities in this country, from Los Angeles to Chicago to DC to New York, and you go into a CVS or a Walgreens and everything or virtually everything's behind plexiglass. And if you want to go and buy something, you have to have a clerk come over, unlock the plexiglass there, and stand next to you while you go and read the ingredients. It's not a particularly nice way to go shopping. It's extremely expensive for the stores to go and do that. You know, and people know that that wasn't the case a few years ago. But it's not, so they see property crime must have increased dramatically, or these stores wouldn't be engaged in all these very costly activities to try to stop crime that's occurring. But it's not just property crime. Violent crime itself has increased. And there are lots of things that have gone on that even affect the reporting numbers that the FBI has. So, you know, if you call up 911 in many parts of this country, you'll be asked, is the criminal there right now still committing the crime? And if you say no, they'll say, okay, well, you can come down to the police station and wait in line and fill out a police report. People know that that wasn't true a few years ago. If you called up and reported a crime, they'd send out a police car to go and take the police report that's there. You make it more costly, more time consuming for people to go and report crimes, particularly given that the success rate in solving crimes has gone down. And you're going to have some people who previously would have reported crimes to the police who are going to say, you know, it's just not worth it for me to go and do that. And so there's reasons for thinking that the FBI data on reported crimes is missing crimes now. You know, even though it showed this increase in 2022, that it's missing a lot of reported crimes now more than it used to miss them, just because of the changes that we've seen in law enforcement. You know, one of the things that we know determines whether or not people report crimes to the police are whether or not they think that people are going to be caught and punished. And as we've seen drops in arrest rates, particularly in large cities, it's just, you know, it's just not worth it for people to go and report crimes.